Hi friends, welcome to the Unit 1 Day 5 notes over quadratic functions. Today we're solving by completing the square. With this, we want to make sure that we follow these steps. A lot of students really struggle with completing the square. And the reason why, I think, is just, this part is tedious, and you want to make sure you're following each steps carefully. So let's jump in. One of the things that I want to do first is get it by move the constant term to the right. Basically, you want to have your linear and your quadratic together and the constant off by itself. So in this case, what I have is x squared minus 4x equals 14. Next, divide everything by the a number if it is a number other than 1. You can divide it by 1 if you'd like. It doesn't change anything. And then we need to put a blank right here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to find the value that we need to complete this problem here to make it into a perfect square. This is why it's called completing the square. The way that we do that is we take our b value, our linear coefficient, and then we take 1/2 of that and then square it. So my b value here is going to be -4, so I take -4 divided by 2, and then I square. -4 divided by 2 is -2. -2 squared is 4. So that number, that value that I'm going to put it right here. Now, if I add something on the left-hand side, I also have to add it on the right-hand side. So I'm going to put a 4 here as well. So this is the part that it says put in the boxes. Normally I make a box, not just a line. I apologize. And then from here, now I can factor out x squared minus 4x plus 4. So factoring that, I'm going to get x minus 2 quantity squared equals 14 plus 4 is 18. And then now we can solve by using the square root method that we talked about previously. Remember, when we square root, we have to have the plus or minus on the other side of the term without the variable. So I'm going to go ahead and square root both sides. Square root, plus minus. So I have x minus 2 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 18. Square root of 18 is, let's see, that's going to be 3 radical 2. And then now I can add 2 on both sides. So my two solutions are x equals 2 plus and minus 3 squared root of 2. And that's solving by completing the square. 12. This one's a little bit difficult because we have an a term that's other than 1. Let's talk about what happens here. First, we're going to subtract 9 from both sides. So I have 9x squared minus 12x. And then I'm going to go ahead and put plus the box is equal to -9 plus the box. Next thing I want to do is divide each of my terms by 9. So divide by 9, divide by 9. For here, when we divide by 9 on both sides, what we're essentially doing is we're dividing each term by 9. I went ahead and did that now. So that's going to give me x squared minus 3/4 x. Still going to have this box is equal to -1, and then the box. Now we go through and still follow through our steps that we talked about earlier. So I'm going to take -3/4, divide by 2, and then square it. Remember, -3/4 divided by 2, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So this is going to give me -6/4. Squaring that, I'm going to go ahead and reduce. So -6/4 same as -3/2. -3/2 squared is 9/4. So we're going to be adding 9/4 on both sides. 9/4 here, 9/4 here. Uh-oh, I just realized this is not 3/4 but 4/3. Oh no. Alright, let's go back and fix this. I apologize. I knew something was wrong with the number that I got here under this part here. Let's go ahead and erase this work. Thank you for bearing with me. All right. Hopefully I can fix this in editing. All right. Whew. Let's try that again. -4/3. Use the right color. All right. -4/3 divide by 2 squared. So that's the same as -4/3 times 1/2. So that's -4/6 squared. That reduces down to negative 2/3, much better, squared, which is 4/9. There we go. 4/9, and then 4/9. All right, now my square here is going to be x minus 2/3 quantity squared. A lot of students are really surprised on how quick I'm able to essentially take the, find this perfect square. And the secret is that it's always whatever that value is whenever you simplify it completely. That's what you're going to have here. So that's kind of the another quicker way of looking at it and doing it. And then negative 1 plus 4/9 is going to be negative 5/9. Now we can take the square root on both sides. Remember, when you take the square root, you have plus or minus. So square root, plus minus. So we have x equals, x minus 2/3 is equal to plus or minus square root of negative 5/9. Let's talk about the square root of negative 5/9 first. I can take the square root of both the numerator and the denominator, and I can pull out an I because of the negative number. So I'm going to have x minus 2/3 equals plus or minus, going to pull out the I, so I, square root of 5. And if I take the square root of 9 in the denominator, I get 3. Then now I can add 2/3 on both sides. And I get x equals 2/3 plus or minus I square root of 5 all over 3. And now for 13. We're going to subtract 5x on both sides. Ooh, actually, looking at this, I think it would be nicer to have a leading coefficient with your x squared term being positive. So noticing that, let's go down a different path. Let's add 3x squared to both sides instead. So that's going to give me 3x squared plus 5x equals positive 1. So I have just all positive terms. You always want your leading coefficient with your a. You always want that to be positive when you're going through this. It makes life a lot easier. So let's go through and divide by 3. So we're dividing everything by 3. That's getting x squared plus 5/3 x equaling 1/3. We're going to go ahead and put in our box for the number that we're going to add to complete the square. And then now let's go ahead and take 5/3 divided by 2. And then squaring it. Didn't make my parentheses large enough here. 5/3 divided by 2, and then squaring it. 5/3 divided by 2 is going to be 5/6. Squaring that is going to give me 25/36. So that's the number I'm going to add on both sides. Didn't leave big enough boxes. Oops. And then now, my perfect square is going to be x plus 5/6 squared equals 1/3 plus 25/36. Combining this to be the same number under the, so that I just have a consistent number. Let's see, I can do 3, so that's 12. So that's 12/36 plus 25/36. That gives me 37/36. And then let's go ahead and square root both sides. Square root, plus minus. So I get x plus 5/6 is equal to plus or minus. Square root of 37 is just square root of 37, but I can take the square root of 36. That gives me 6. And then if I minus 5/6 on both sides, I get x equals negative 5/6 plus or minus square root of 37/6. And that is completing the square. Have a wonderful day. I will see you in the next video.